Um, Welcome to Lockdown TV. We are on day 13, I think. I'm actually not sure. It's all become a blur. Actually, I think it's 14. 2 weeks down, 7 days to go, if my calculations are not incorrect. And like I've said in the previous videos, I don't think it's going to end after 21 days. I think it will be extended, looking at how numbers are actually going up in some provinces. But anyway, that is not why I'm here. Oh, I'm wearing my Stranger Things vest. I'm a big geek, if you haven't figured that out about me. I was actually wearing a uniform and my apron, but I'm actually not cooking. And we are having electricity cuts in my area. Apparently, the power station, the one that services our area, has gone and blown up or something like that. So I've had no electricity for 2 hours now. I'm recording this on my phone. I'd actually recorded it with my camera, my fancy camera, and yeah, I need to figure out why it does that. I will record something for half an hour and then it will delete it. If you have a Canon 200D, please let me know in the comments what the problem is. After 29 minutes and 59 seconds, it deletes the video, or it makes it 0 bytes. But you can watch the video on the camera. Anyway, if you have one of those cameras, let me know. Maybe it's just me just being a dumb cop. This video is 10 questions to me, to a chef. I'd actually started it at the very beginning of my YouTube channel. I had intended to do 10 questions every week, but as these things tend to happen, I just got too busy. And the other thing is, I use social media a lot. And when someone asks me a question on Twitter, I try where I can to respond immediately, which defeats the whole point of the 10 questions on my YouTube channel. Yeah, so sorry about that. If you're someone who was looking forward to the 10 questions every week, I'm going to do them every now and then. I'm not going to promise every week now. And also, there are people who literally just want to hear about the life of a chef. I do not know why. Honestly, I do not know why. On my blog at the very beginning, when I started it, all I would write about was actually the life of a chef. I was talking about going from being an engineer to suddenly being in this industry that I was in, and I would talk about it all in a funny way, and I would explain to people what life is like as a chef, and people are really interested in that, and that's how I actually built my brand up. And then over time, the recipes and everything else took over, and I stopped talking about that. Um, so I know there are people who are just interested in what life is like for me, which I don't understand why, but yeah, I'm just feeding that craving because people really are interested in what we do for a living. I guess I'll probably be the same with doctors. I would love to know what the life of a doctor every day is like, and the madness they go through and the struggle. So I guess I get it. I get it. Anyway, which brings me to the first question: who's my favorite chef in the world? He's passed on, and no one will ever replace him. So even when I'm asked that type of question in media interviews, I'll always say the same one: Anthony Bourdain. He passed away 2 years ago. The reason being, he was blunt. He didn't sugarcoat anything, which is what I try and do as well. He didn't try and pretend to be something he was not. He didn't overly glamorize the industry we are in. And he was open to learning stuff. What tends to happen when chefs become very well known, they try act like they know everything, and they get into the industry and they act like they know it all, which was not the case with Anthony Bourdain. He would do his little, I say little, but it was on CNN. You can watch it on Netflix, by the way. He'll do his travel show, go to a foreign country, and be like a blank book. Even though he would know an ingredient, he would still ask the locals about it. He will try everything at least once, all the funny food, and that is what I try and do as well. I don't go into situations with a judgmental type of point of view. I try to absorb and learn, understand the local uh, vibe, to say. And from there, I also try to be blunt about what I do for a living, who I am. If I'm stressed, I will tell you I'm stressed. I don't hide that, which is what I liked about him. He was very blunt about his mental industry, his mental issues. He had depression for a very long time, and even on his TV show, if he was going through an episode, he would tell you, "I'm going through an episode." He had issues with substance abuse, and even on his show, he would touch on that to drink a lot on his show as well, and he would explain that he shouldn't be doing it because he is a recovering addict. We talk about his heroin stuff and everything that he'd been through. He was very blunt, and that is what I loved about him. He was an open book, and that is how I've tried to be with my brand as well. I don't believe we should be overly glossy and pretend to be what we are not, which is, I understand when you're in the spotlight, that is what people expect from someone who's well known, a celebrity, to coin the word, which I'm not. And yeah, I love that he didn't give. It is my channel, so I can swear. He didn't give two fucks about that. He was just he was just himself. That is why I loved him. Um, which brings me to the next question. Question number two: do I need to study to become a chef? The people who tend to ask me this have either gone and researched what one has to do to become a chef, or they've gone and looked into chef schools and they've seen the fees, or they have either a sibling, a relative, or a son or a daughter who wants to become a chef, and they've gone and seen the fees, and they do not want to either pay those fees or they do not want to go through the whole process of going to study the whole culinary arts business that we are in. No, that is the blunt response. You do not have to study to be a chef, but that comes with terms and conditions. Originally, how you'd become a chef was via apprenticeship. You would work your way up in the hierarchy of a chef brigade. So at the very bottom, you are a commis chef. Then you become a CDP, which is a chef de partie. Above a CDP, you'd get a sous chef. Then sometimes nowadays you get an executive sous. Then you've got a head chef, and then you've got the executive chef, which is god level in our industry, executive chef. And that is the hierarchy. So you'd work your way up. What would tend to happen is either there'll be a cleaner or a scaler. A scaler is someone who washes the dishes. And they always in the kitchen. They see what we chefs do. And let's say, for example, I go and break my arm, or I get flu for a week, like what people are going through now with COVID. And my section becomes open. What the head chef tries to do, instead of going to hire a chef from outside to come and learn the ropes and learn the kitchen from scratch. They need someone who's on the board, who's seen how the kitchen works, who knows the personalities. And what tends to happen, they point at the skull and say, Woza. The scholar will say, okay, I've seen LesDaChef make this roti, and I've seen the ingredients he uses. I've seen how he reacts when an order has been called. This is all I need to do. And in so doing, that is how you enter the hierarchy now and you work your way up. So back in the day, a lot of the chefs would have started as cleaners, as scholars, as waiters. It's people who have been in the kitchen and understand what's going on. And in so doing, eventually you earn the title of chef. So it doesn't just suddenly get given to you. Like you can't just decide to give it to yourself, because we will get on your case. We chefs are very antsy about that term. If you suddenly come to me and say, I'm a chef, I will grill you. And if you are someone who's gone and given yourself that title and you've met chefs, I'm sure you know what I mean. We are very anal about it. And you have to earn it. Even after I got my diploma, um, it took about 2 years before another chef referred to me as chef. That is how earned and respected that title is. And there is a sense of camaraderie within a group of chefs. When we meet up, we want to learn and absorb and get information from each other. Um, I can't explain it. Yeah, I can't. Eh? Whenever there's a chef convention, Most chefs actually go to these chef competitions to interact with other chefs. Honestly, it's not because we want to go have a good time and play with food. It is mostly actually to interact with other chefs and learn from each other and actually find out what's going on in the industry. It's like a geeky little club. It's why we also follow each other's accounts and we watch each other's things on online. If I'm watching a crappy recipe and I'm like, this is bad, I'll still finish the recipe because I might learn something new. That is the nature of chefs. We're always trying to learn, even though we know the technical reasons behind stuff. We're always looking for new ways and new flavors and new plating and new ideas to do stuff. Do chefs really swear like we do? Yep. No, I lie. The reason that question comes up a lot is because of Gordon Ramsay. Is the industry the way that Gordon Ramsay portrays it to be? Yes, it is. Is it as rough as he portrays it to be? No, it's not. Just like anything in life, it is very diverse. It depends on the country you are in. Because now I've got labor laws. You can't be swearing at someone and holding them by the face and saying, hey, 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 hey. You will get fired and you will get sued. So the stuff that he does not apply anymore. But back in the day, I've seen pots being thrown at people. I've seen, yeah, let me actually not go into how bad. Maybe there's a teenager watching this and wants to enter the industry. But it does get rough. It's a very, very heated place, a professional kitchen. It is not play stuff. It is not as bad as Gordon Ramsay does it on his shows. He does it for the cameras, and he's actually the opposite in person. He's very soft spoken, or not soft spoken, but he's a very approachable person. I'm a very chill dude. But he plays it up for the camera, so don't be scared by what he does. And like I said, the industry is very diverse. For me, example, as a head chef, I've never yelled at someone. I do get angry in the kitchen when someone is messing up, but I do not yell. I tend to get them out of the section and go do it myself, which is not very good leadership, but that is how I am. My mom was the same as well. She didn't like confrontation. She would rather go and either show someone or do it themselves, which is the way I lead as well. So the yelling depends on where you're working and how. And it's usually chefs who've been trained the classic way, the old school yes chef and French style of training. No, I'm not going to explain classic French style chef training. That can go on and on. But yeah, that is basically where the yes chef and all of that comes from. Why are most TV chefs men? I don't know. I'm the last person to ask that because I'm a man. Maybe you should ask women why you let men be the ones who are TV chefs. I honestly do not know. And I've also realized that most of the woman celebrity chefs aren't actually chefs. Nigella Lawson, for example, is not a chef. Um, yeah, I don't know. Hey, I'm trying to think of a famous female chef who's famous on TV. Uh, I think Lorraine Pascal. Yes, she followed a similar route to me. Left corporate and then went to chef school. But yeah, it's a weird phenomenon. I honestly do not know, so I can't answer that question. Maybe you guys have answers. You can respond underneath in the comments and tell me why you think most TV chefs are men, and also why most of these TV chef competitions, the judges tend to be men as well. Have you ever noticed that? The hosts will be women, but then the judges will be men. Which brings me over to Top Chef South Africa. What's it like judging a TV show? I was a judge on Top Chef South Africa, if you don't know. And the hostess of the show was Lorna Maseko. And my co-judge was Neil Anthony. So it was the three of us. And yeah, I'm not going to get into why it hasn't had a second season. It's very expensive. At one stage, I sat there and I counted the amount of cameras either in the ceilings, in the walls, on the floor. At the very beginning, I counted 20 cameras in one go. And for every contestant, there was one cameraman. So you can do the math as to the expense of that. Uh, so, what was it like being a judge there? reality TV is not reality TV, let me put it that way. Even the stuff that people love these days, the Kardashians and all that crap nonsense that people watch on TV, that has a sort of script. There is a formula and storyline that is followed. It's not just suddenly a camera crew following people around. There is a foundation, and this is what you're going to do today. This is what we're going to. Same thing with TV shows, judging competitions. And it's a weird thing because there's an earpiece in here, and you're listening to either the producer or the director, and he's rambling on. And oftentimes, he's not even talking to you, he's talking to someone else. And then you're listening to it all. You've got your mic on you as well, so you can't fart, you can't swear, because they hear it all. Um, which is something I do. I tend to speak under my breath. I tend to say stuff, and I'm speaking to myself. But then you hear giggling in your ear. So it was the weirdest thing. And things are done twice. So if you go and react and go, this thing is crap, and the producer enjoys you doing that, they'll ask you to repeat it. And you also taste everything twice. That's the other thing. So what you see on camera, for example, there was one contestant on Top Chef who made steak and he made a chocolate sauce, which is nothing wrong with that. But you're meant to use dark chocolate, and it has to be sugar free. What he had gone and done had used milk chocolate. And so off camera, before it all, we actually tasted it all and we knew how bad it was. But we had to record it all for camera and pretend we didn't know what we were about to put in our mouth. So there's that phenomenon as well, where you know there's something bad. And yeah. And the contestants had to make 3 plates of everything, one for photography, one for us to taste off camera, and one for us to taste on camera. So it's complicated. For example, the first episode took us 3 days to do for 45 minutes of TV, and it's edited in such a way each judge's personality is shown differently. So I am a very sarcastic kind of person, and I laugh at everything. I laugh at like the weirdest things. I will laugh. If you were to slip and fall, I would laugh at you. I'd be concerned after. But the first thing, my reaction is to laugh. And you can't be like that on a chef, a chef contestant type of show. So you're edited in such a way that your personality is portrayed differently. So when people would watch Top Chef and they would meet me, they're like, but the person we saw on TV is different to who you are. Then I have to explain, okay, it's TV, this is how it's done. That is why I say with Gordon Ramsay, with House Kitchen, it's done for the cameras, but in person it's completely different. So don't go and say, I hate that chef, just because you've watched the TV show, because in person, we are completely different. Having said that, there are 2 TV shows that are coming that are meant to be in the pipeline, but yeah, we need sponsors, eh? So if you work in corporate and you're on a sponsored TV show, email address is somewhere on my YouTube channel. Mail us. We've actually been approved for the TV shows, and they're more about my personality than contestants. Anyway, I digress. Who do you always cook good food? Um, no. Let me be frank and honest. We chefs actually eat some of the worst food. And the irony is, we know exactly how bad that food is. But yeah, we eat bad, eh? I mean, if you spent a whole week looking at fancy French fine dining, the last thing you want to do is go home and eat foie gras. The last thing you want to do is go home and eat oysters. The last thing you want to do is go home and eat pork, not pork, pork would be awesome actually. Beef fillet with a red wine jus. No, we want soul food. And so we tend to eat the worst stuff. Um, but having said that, when I am in a relationship, I try to cook fancy maybe once or twice a week. Um, Not just to show off, but also just to impress myself and impress the person I'm with. Because it does get, yeah, you get bored. It's like an artist. An artist won't be painting artwork all the time. But now and then they'll paint an awesome piece just to impress themselves. So it's the same thing with chefs. We don't always eat fancy. We appreciate fancy, but yeah, we tend to eat very bad food because we're normal people. Um, And that brings me to how people are scared to invite us to dinners because they assume we're going to judge their food. No, it's actually the opposite. We are the most appreciative people in the world. Well, let me not generalize about everyone. I don't know. Maybe you guys know asshole chefs. But all the chefs I know appreciate being cooked for because we know how much of a stress it is to most people to cook for a chef. So anything and everything we love, which is what I miss about my mom. She didn't care what I was. She would cook whatever it was, and I would have to eat what it was, and that is what I loved. So yeah, don't be all fancy just because you're cooking for someone who's qualified as a chef. Um, Best advice for a young chef, the one I always tell young chefs: move around. Basically, be a hoe. Be a whore of note. Not sexually, don't, no, not that way. But travel. Spend maximum 1 year, unless it's the type of environment like I was in. I was working at Ulusaba, and every day I had to change the menu. So every day I was learning something new, I was doing something new, I was playing with new ingredients. And so it developed my um, ability to think on my toes. It also developed my ability to create new recipes and new ideas. It kept my creative juices going. That is the reason why I tell young chefs to move around a lot. If you stay in an establishment that changes the menu once a year, it means for 6 months every year you're doing the exact same stuff. You are not growing, you are not learning anything new. And that's the last thing you want to do. Unless you an older chef who is done trying to learn new stuff and who just wants a good paycheck end of the day. But if you're a young chef getting into the industry, spend a year to 2 years maximum and move around, learn new environments. And when you do move around, let it be different places. I've worked at a lodge, I've worked at a hotel, I've worked at a restaurant, I've worked at a catering company, I've worked as a private chef, I've worked with corporates, I've built stuff, and yeah, so just move around. And in so doing, you build an awesome profile for yourself. You are able to adapt to whatever situation comes your way. Like now, we've got Corona and all this crap. I'm able to diversify my portfolio and offer different services. Whereas if I was a restaurant chef and that's all I knew, I wouldn't be able to do that. Okay, that is my advice to young chefs. What is a Michelin star? Let me simplify that one. So, back in the day, I don't know how old you are, but if you're as old as me or older, you will remember we had salespeople who'd go door to door. Like, for example, if there was a vacuum cleaner, it wasn't advertised on TV. There'll be a salesperson who'd go literally town to town, door to door, knock on doors and say, "Hey, I'm a Kirby, Hoover salesperson. This is the new Kirby. Can I show it to you?" And then they'll bring out some small carpet and yeah, they'll do that thing. So the same thing would apply with tires. Tire salespeople from Michelin would travel around France, and as they were traveling, they would get tired of the hotel food. And so what they started doing was saying, okay, if you are in Lyon, there's a small restaurant. It's run by Mama What What. The food is awesome. I give it a 3 star. And then there'll be another salesperson in Paris, and they'll say, in this suburb of Paris, I found this awesome restaurant. If you are hungry or if you want to take your client there, I give the food 2 stars. It's not that awesome, but it's brilliant. So it's not a 3 star, but it's a 2 star. Go to it. It's lovely. And so that is how their ratings started. They were literally doing it for other traveling salespeople. It wasn't for the general public. But as these things tend to happen, it got out in the open, and people started using that rating system to actually rate restaurants and to go to places. And so, if a Michelin star was given by a salesperson, you knew that, okay, this is a good place to go and eat. And so it grew and it became its own phenomenon. Only a few countries have Michelin star establishments, organizations that do ratings like that. We don't have it in South Africa. It's why when chefs say I'm a 5 star chef, I'm like, but we honestly do not have those ratings. So you literally give them to yourself. We do have guides though, by different companies, but they are independent. Similar to Michelin, which is also independent. Michelin. Michelin. Yeah. So yeah, you get 3, 2, and 1 Michelin stars. They are in Japan, in Australia. in America and in Europe. We don't do them yet in Africa. I'm not sure about North Africa. They consider themselves separate from the rest of us. Maybe they do in Morocco, because Morocco seems to want to be. Anyway, I digress. Dating a chef. Would I date a chef? I would. I would marry a chef happily. Chefs are awesome. Marry chefs, guys. It's the best thing you'll ever do. Okay, jokes aside, yes, I would. I've never ever dated a chef though. Um, I don't know why. Do not ask me why, because I also do not know why. Would I date one? I would gladly do it. The reason is they would understand how the industry works. So when I say I'm working a 100% function, they will know that for 2 days it means I am non-existent, and they'll understand how tired I am. It's hard dating a chef because or the people who have dated me, I don't know about other chefs, and if you're watching this, comment underneath. But people don't understand the things that we go through, the stresses, the heat in the kitchen, the tension, the mental health issues, all of that. And it's hard trying to get someone to appreciate what you go through. Um, because, yeah, people think it's romantic to date a chef. They think we make fancy stuff all the time. Meanwhile, back in the ranch, it is quite the opposite. We are actually, we need the most attention out of all people, actually. Oh, not out of all people, but yeah, dating a chef needs you to give them attention because they go through a lot. I say they like I'm not one, but yeah, they go through a lot. So you have to be very emotionally aware to date a chef. So would I date one? That would be the reason why, because I understand what they go through and they'll understand what I go through. And the other thing is also just to bounce ideas off of, because sometimes I'll be making something fancy and something will be missing. I'm not quite sure what. Well, it doesn't have to be a chef. Someone who understands food, I guess, end of the day. Um, yeah, why am I rambling on about this answer? Is the uniform necessary? Uh, if my former lecturers are watching this, yes, it's very necessary. But in the world of social media now, with all the hipsters everywhere, with the way the industry is changing, classically trained chefs have also changed their image. For example, as a classically trained chef, I shouldn't actually have a beard. You should be clean shaven all the time. That is how you are trained. You should always wear a neck scarf. You should always be wearing a skull cap or a tall hat. You should always be in chef whites. Chef whites are basically your chef jacket. I was about to show you my nipples. This is not that kind of channel. But that has changed a lot in the industry now. And like my company, I do not wear full chef uniform. I wear chef jacket though, but that is as far as I go. There are my aprons as well, which are different. They're made of denim, which we wouldn't get in the past. I also wear my LesDaChef caps. Today I'm wearing Kaiser Chiefs because Kaiser Chiefs is awesome like that. But yeah, having said that, if I'm giving a lecture at a chef school, I will put on full chef uniform unless the lecturers have asked me to just be yourself. And by full chef uniform, I mean I'll come in chef whites and I'll wear the necktie and everything. If I'm judging a chef competition, I do the same. I'll put on a full chef uniform. It is more an ode of respect to um, that chef school and also to the industry. It is a tradition, and I'm not anti it. I've just created a different brand for my company. Okay, so it is there for a reason. The reason why we wear chef uniform, and it goes back to the whole term I was explaining in the very second question, why a chef is a chef. It's all about tradition. It's all about that camaraderie. It's all about that. Yeah, you know what I mean. So I do put the uniform on request as well. And also if I'm doing a client photo shoot, if a client asks me to come dressed as a classically trained chef, I do. Um, if someone's got a fancy event and they want me and my team to come dressed up that way, we do. So I'm not against it. It's just me as my brand, LesDaChef as a company, we do not do that. Okay. I think that is all 10 questions. Yeah, I've answered all 10 questions. I will try to do this more often. Yeah, I guess you'll have to pray for electricity to be cut from my area again. I'm doing this today because I have no electricity. I have nothing else to do right now. Um, and yeah, I'll be back to cooking videos tomorrow. I just, yeah, it's a lot of work recording stuff. I'm sure you can see over there the lighting. If I was to turn this around, you would see my entire prep area. There's a stove to my left. But yeah, um, but we'll see tomorrow. I'll do another cooking video. Trying to just fill my channel with content during this corona. I hope you're finding it all interesting. If there's anything, I know someone, underneath one of my videos asked me to do more diabetic friendly videos. I do not mind that. Uh, I want to do them with a dietitian because I have my views about diabetic friendly food. There's this old view that if you're diabetic, then it means you have to eat a certain way. And that view has been changed recently. But I want to do it with someone who's a professional so you can hear their view on it as well, and not mine because I'm just a chef. Okay, so if you are still watching, waiting for me to do that, I will do it, but I'll do it with a professional.